I never believed in haunted objects. Cursed dolls, ghost-infested paintings, and mirrors whispering madness. They were stories meant to scare children or fill late-night YouTube videos. I laughed at them all until the mirror found me. It was a Tuesday when I first brought it home. I'd found it in a dusty little antique shop just outside of Solo, Indonesia. The store was barely more than a shack, crammed from floor to ceiling with relics, masks, statues, and peculiar odds and ends that smelled of mildew and forgotten prayers. The mirror stood out. It had a tall, carved wooden frame shaped like twisting vines, with roots that curled inward at the bottom. A brass plaque was nailed crookedly to the frame. It read, "Dia melihat lebih dalam." She sees deeper. I should have walked away, but I didn't. The shopkeeper, an old man with cataracts so thick his pupils looked like pearls, didn't say much. When I asked the price, he simply said, "Take it, no charge, but never let it see blood." I laughed, thought it was a gimmick. By the time I got home, the sky had turned a strange orange, like fire behind smoke. I placed the mirror in my bedroom right across from my bed. I should have felt proud of the aesthetic it gave. But as I stepped back and looked at my reflection, something felt wrong. My reflection blinked. After I did, that was the first night the whispers came. They weren't loud, just faint scratching behind the glass, like nails gently tapping. Then a voice, barely audible, female, lilting, calm, and persuasive. "You're tired of them judging you? You know they deserve it. You don't need to suffer anymore. Let me show you what they truly are." I thought it was a dream, until my girlfriend found me standing in front of the mirror at 3:47 a.m., unmoving. I was whispering something. She said my eyes were rolled back, my hands clenched, a trickle of blood coming from my nose. I didn't remember any of it. But the next night, I stood there again. The voice was clearer this time. It knew things I'd never said aloud. It spoke about my father's abuse, my brother's betrayal, the boss who humiliated me in front of the whole office. It reminded me of every humiliation I had buried, and offered something in return. Let me take the pain. Let me act for you. All you need to do is watch. Then it showed me a vision. No, a memory, warped and violent. My reflection was holding something. A kitchen knife? There was blood, so much blood. The face of someone I knew twisted in agony. I woke up on the floor. A day later, I received a call. My co-worker, Jeremy, had been found in his apartment. Murdered. Multiple stab wounds. The news hit me like a hammer, because, in the vision, it had been him. I tried to destroy the mirror, smashed it with a hammer. Nothing. Not a single crack. I covered it with a blanket, threw it in the closet. But that night, it was back, standing upright, staring, waiting. My reflection was smiling. And then the voice returned, louder this time, filled with glee. "You've already killed, you just don't remember. Now, let's finish the list. They all deserve it. And I'll help you." I looked down. There was blood on my hands, again. And the mirror. It was glowing. I ran. Out of the bedroom, out of the house, into the night, barefoot and shaking, with the stench of something rotten lingering on my skin. My hands were sticky with dried blood, but I had no idea whose it was. I didn't even have a cut. The streets were silent. Not the quiet of peace, but the suffocating stillness before something terrible happens. I collapsed in front of a warung that was long closed, vomiting bile and fear. I didn't go back inside. I stayed at a friend's house. Marcel. We'd gone to college together, and though we hadn't spoken much in recent years, I had nowhere else to go. He let me in without asking questions, but I could see the hesitation in his eyes, like he could smell something off. I didn't sleep that night. I sat curled in the corner of his guest room, staring at the blank wall, trying to shake off the image of myself holding the knife. But every time I blinked, I saw flashes. Not dreams, scenes, close-ups, arterial sprays, gurgling sounds, a gloved hand gripping someone's hair and slamming their head against a wall until it caved. In the morning, Marcel knocked. "I saw the news," he said slowly. "There was another murder last night. A woman this time. Police said no signs of forced entry." He was looking at me too closely. I excused myself, locked the bathroom door, splashed cold water on my face, looked in the mirror, and screamed. It was me, but not me. My reflection wore a wide, unnatural smile. Its eyes were black, not dark, but bottomless, like twin pits. It raised its hand and pressed its finger to the glass. 2 down. 3 more to go. "Let me show you what your memory forgot." I stepped back, slipped, fell. When I stood again, the reflection was normal. My face, my eyes, my fear. I told Marcel I had to go. He didn't stop me. Back at home, I tried burning the mirror. I drenched it in kerosene, set it alight in the backyard. The flames roared, but when the fire died, it was untouched. The glass gleamed, clearer than ever. The wood frame looked freshly polished, like it fed on fire. Then I heard her laugh. Soft at first, then louder. It didn't come from the mirror this time. It came from behind me. I turned. Nothing there. But when I looked back at the mirror, there was a second reflection standing behind mine. A woman, her face obscured by long, soaking hair. Her arms stretched out, palms pressed against the inside of the glass, like she wanted to crawl out. "Do you want the truth, or just silence?" "Truth will drown you, but silence will let them keep dying." I don't know how long I stood there. I don't know if I fell asleep or blacked out. When I awoke, I was back in bed, fully dressed, covered in dirt. The mirror stood in its place, humming. Yes, humming. A low vibration that resonated in my bones. And on the nightstand, a photo I didn't recognize. A woman, young, maybe mid-30s, smiling, standing in front of a grocery store. On the back, someone had written in red ink, "Next." My hands were shaking. I dropped the photo, but my reflection didn't. It held it up and smiled wider. I didn't know her name. The woman in the photo, smiling, oblivious, doomed. I turned the picture over again, hoping to find something different. A phone number, a clue, something to prove this was just a sick prank. But the back still only read one word in crude, slashing ink. Next. I should have gone to the police. I should have turned myself in. But something held me. Not physically, not with chains or threats, but with something deeper. A weight behind my eyes, a shadow stitched to my bones. The mirror's voice wasn't just talking anymore. It was inside me. It didn't speak in words now, just emotions, urges, like hunger, like thirst, but for blood. That night, I tried not to sleep. I drank coffee until my hands trembled, blasted music, left all the lights on, but sometime around 3:15 a.m., I must have drifted off. And that's when I saw it. The same dream, or vision, or memory. I was standing in the middle of a dark parking lot. Rain fell in sheets, and the flickering light of a nearby lamp buzzed with dying electricity. She was there, the woman from the photo, loading groceries into her car, humming a tune I couldn't place. I was behind her, a hand, my hand, raised high, gripping something metallic. A wrench? I screamed, tried to drop it, tried to turn away. But I had no control. The dream me moved with calm precision. Step, step, strike. One blow. She crumpled, twitching. Another. Silence. A third. The wrench dropped with a dull thud, splashing in a growing pool of red. I woke up gasping, but not in bed. I was in my car, parked 2 blocks from the exact grocery store in the dream, and in the passenger seat. The wrench. Wet. Still dripping. I couldn't breathe. I fumbled out of the car, vomited into the gutter. My legs barely held me up. My mind screamed at me to run, to hide, to end it all. And then I heard a sound I now feared more than anything. Glass. Humming. But they were all staring at me. Behind them, she stood. The woman. The one from the mirror. The one whose name I still didn't know, yet who knew every crack in my mind. She leaned in close and whispered something I couldn't hear, but felt. My ears rang. My stomach churned. Then I saw my own face again. But my eyes were gone, hollow sockets leaking smoke. I grabbed a chair and hurled it at the mirror. It passed right through. No glass. No impact. The chair crashed into the wall behind it and shattered, but the mirror didn't so much as flicker. It was anchored to something deeper than walls. I left, ran barefoot down the hallway of the motel, shirt soaked in sweat, hearing every door creak, every floorboard groan. The overhead lights flickered. Someone was sobbing behind one door. Behind another, I swore I heard a baby crying, then laughing. I didn't stop. I found myself outside again, barefoot on wet concrete, rain soaking into my clothes. My vision blurred. My mind raced. I didn't remember what day it was. I didn't know how many had died. But I knew the mirror wasn't just following me. It was inside me. And worse, it was waking something up. When I looked into puddles, I saw glimpses of faces that weren't mine. My hands moved on their own sometimes. I caught myself writing names in the margins of motel notepads. Names I didn't recognize. Each night, it came closer. Not just in vision, in presence. One night, I found it not across the room, but at the foot of my bed. The next, it was beside my pillow. And last night, I opened my eyes. It was on the ceiling, hovering. Its frame twisted and pulsing like veins. The woman was crawling out, fingers stretching, bone cracking. She was almost free. She was crawling out. Elbows bent the wrong way, fingers longer than they should be, joints popping like knuckles grinding through glass. Her hair spilled down like black ink, dripping onto the mattress. Not real hair, something wetter, heavier. It clung to the ceiling as she pulled the rest of her body through the mirror's surface, which rippled like water as her torso emerged. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. My body was frozen, not with fear, but with permission. Like something inside me had already said yes, even while my mind shouted no. She didn't drop to the floor. She slithered, feet still inside the glass. Half of her anchored in whatever world the mirror connected to. The other half, here, just inches from my chest. Her face hovered over mine, and this time I saw her eyes. They weren't dead. They were furious. Not wild, not violent. No, worse, cold, calculated, centuries old. She didn't just want to kill me, she wanted to use me. And then she smiled, not with joy, with recognition, as if she'd been waiting for me, specifically me, for a long, long time. She whispered into my ear with a voice made of breath and rot. One more. Then I'll be whole. I blacked out. I woke up in a forest, barefoot, shirtless. Blood dried across my chest. My hands were trembling. I didn't know how I got there. I didn't know what time it was. But I wasn't alone. About 20 feet in front of me stood a man in security guard uniform, his back to me. He was motionless. I could hear a faint buzzing sound. Flies. I approached him slowly. When I saw his face, I collapsed. He was already dead. Eyes plucked out. Lips torn open into a permanent grin. Someone had carved something into his forehead, in jagged letters, like they were scratched with nails. He watched too long. I screamed until my voice cracked. The trees echoed the scream back at me, like they were mocking it. Then, behind me, the mirror appeared again, leaning against a tree. How does it move like that? How does it follow? I stumbled back, but this time it didn't show my reflection. It showed a door, a narrow wooden door, half rotted and nailed shut, and behind the door, pounding. Faint at first, then louder, and then a voice. "Let me out." I should have run. I should have destroyed it. But instead, I reached forward. The glass sank beneath my fingers like cold water. My hand disappeared through the surface. Something touched me from the other side. It touched me. Not a hand. Not skin. Something worse. Slick and pulsing like raw muscle, but freezing cold. It wrapped around my wrist the moment I pierced the mirror's surface, and in a single impossible pull, it dragged me through. I didn't fall. I plunged, weightless and helpless, into a choking black void where sound had texture and time lost its footing. My thoughts unraveled, slipping away from me like smoke in a storm. There were no walls, no gravity, no direction. Only the door. The same rotting door from the mirror, now in front of me, floating in the abyss. Long rusted nails sealed it shut, but something behind it thrashed and whispered. My feet touched ground, though I couldn't see it. I moved forward, step by step, heart hammering so loud it was the only real sound left. The air smelled of burnt feathers and rot. And then, a whisper. Not hers this time. A child's voice. Young. Familiar. "Don't open it, Cock. She's not what she says. She's hungry." I turned sharply. No one there. But I remembered that voice. My sister, Lila. Dead since I was 12. Car crash. I'd never told anyone what she said before she died. And yet the voice repeated it now, word for word, trembling. "She's under the skin. Don't let her in." The door creaked. The wood began to split, not from the outside, but from within. Tiny fingers poked through the cracks, then more, dozens, hundreds, pale and twitching, fingernails blackened and clicking like beetles. They scraped the nails off, peeled back the wood, tore it plank by plank until there was just the hole, wide and gaping, like a maw. She stepped out. But this time, she wasn't a woman. She was a shape, tall, draped in layers of screaming faces. Yes, faces, like a cloak. Some of them were crying, some were begging, and some were grinning just like mine had in the mirror. Her voice was a chorus now. A choir of everyone I'd ever failed. Everyone I'd hated. Everyone I'd killed. "You opened it. Now you are the door." I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. I looked down. My skin was splitting, my chest opening like rotted paper, bones cracking outward, and inside, there was a mirror. Not metaphorically, a literal mirror, embedded deep inside me, where my heart should be, beating slowly, reflecting her, and behind her, others, more like her, watching, waiting. I was becoming the door. My chest stretched open like torn leather, ribs cracking, bending outward like handles. Inside me, the mirror throbbed like a second heart. And in its surface, I saw her, not just the woman, but what she truly was. She wasn't a ghost. She wasn't even human. She was a collector, a predator that lived between reflections, feeding on guilt, anger, and the fragile line between memory and madness. The murders weren't her doing. They were mine. She simply gave me the nudge, the suggestion, the permission, and I followed. I killed Jeremy because I hated how he mocked me behind my back. I killed the woman because she laughed like my mother did. The guard in the forest? I don't even remember why. But the mirror does. It remembers everything. I fell to my knees, sobbing, shaking, bones groaning beneath the weight of what I had become. And yet, in the pit of that horror, I felt something strange. Relief. There would be no more confusion, no more fear. I was the door now. The final crack had been carved open. She could step through. But before she did, the voices returned. All of them. Lila. Jeremy. The woman at the grocery store. Even my father. They screamed, not in pain, but in protest. Close it! You still can. Don't let her in. Not here. The light around me warped. The mirror inside my chest flickered. I looked into its surface, and, for the first time in days, I saw my real self. Pale, gaunt, wide-eyed with terror, not madness. I wasn't gone yet. And maybe she didn't expect that. I reached into myself. My hands dug through blood and glass, gripping the edge of the mirror embedded inside my chest. It burned. It screamed. She screamed. She lunged forward. The monster, the thing draped in stolen faces. But her movement was slower now, distorted, like she was being pulled backward. Her claws reached for me, and I ripped the mirror out. The world around me shattered. I woke up on the floor of my apartment. No blood, no wounds, no mirror, just morning light pouring through the windows. A police siren in the distance, a bird singing in the rain gutter. But my hands, still stained red. I don't remember how I got back. I don't know if I ever truly left. I turned to where the mirror had once stood. Gone. Only a scorch mark on the floor and a faint smell of sulfur, like something had burned its way out of this world. I turned myself in. I told the police everything. The visions, the murders, the mirror. They nodded. They smiled. They took notes. They sent me here. A place with white walls and no sharp objects. They say I'm sick. That the mirror was a hallucination. That the murders were real. But the rest, the thing in the mirror, the door, Lila's voice, all symptoms of an unraveling mind. But I know better. Sometimes, in the metal of the bathroom faucet, I see a flicker. In the reflection of a spoon, a glimmer of her. I know she's still out there, waiting for someone else to open the door.